Welcome to State of Wellbeing, a podcast from South Dakota State University. The State of Wellbeing is a holistic well-being podcast with the goal of supporting the campus community as we strive to be a growing, high-performing, and healthy university.
Welcome to another episode of the State of Wellbeing podcast. My name is Kevin Sackreiter. I am the Executive Director for the Center for Professional Enrichment and Teaching Excellence here at South Dakota State University. And we are engaged in our series focused on the Student Success Network here at South Dakota State and those offices, groups, efforts that support the overall Student Success Network. And so I'm really excited today to have Veterans Affairs and Resource Center with us. And specifically, we have Russ Chavez, Director of the Veterans Affairs and Resource Center. How are you doing today, Russ?
I'm good, Kevin. I feel like I don't deserve all of that, but
no, I think you do deserve all of that. And we're going to show people why here, I think, through this conversation. So why don't we just jump right in and let you kind of run with the ball for a little bit and just talk a little bit about your role within the Office of Veterans Affairs and Resource Center and that role in supporting students here at South Dakota State University. Specifically, kind of what do you do, who do you support, and what types of services are you most proud to share with our community today?
Okay. I've been with the office or in the office for a little over 10 years already, believe it or not. And my background is military. I'm a 21-year veteran. I retired from the Army. My last duty station was actually here at SDSU.
Oh, okay.
I was teaching Army ROTC, so I got assigned here for my last duty station.
Okay.
So I was working with Army ROTC, doing the cadet thing for years. And then when I retired in 2003, I was actually able to come back on as a contractor for them, kind of finished up my time there, became their supply and logistics guy, and then kind of started looking for a little something different. I felt like I could help veterans a little bit more, so wanted to change hats and move into just helping veterans, right? Instead of just not just cadets, but instead of helping the cadets, I could work with veterans, guys and gals that were actually in the military and then coming out and wanting to go to school. So that shifted my attention over to the Veterans Affairs Office, which was a much smaller role back then. We were under the Multicultural Center for a while, and then we became our own department, the Department of Veterans Affairs at SDSU, and we kind of serve as the go-between. We make sure that SDSU is in compliance with the Principles of Excellence, which is the 8 Principles of Excellence. Make sure that the university is doing what they're supposed to be doing for veterans so that they can have and accept the GI Bill here at SDSU.
Well, and I'll just interrupt you really quick. When you mention those 8 principles of excellence, maybe just to help our audience understand a little bit, and I'll admit I don't know. Maybe what do those involve?
So without naming and being put on the spot to name exactly what they are. Yeah. And I could feel it coming on. But when you talk about the 8 principles of excellence, we follow and hit the guidelines of the Department of Defense Memorandum of Understanding. So basically they set forth to us the principles of excellence. And that basically says that your university you're going to do these things for veterans. And so again, we are the go-between the university, even though we work for the state of South Dakota and the universities that we serve. We also promise with the Department of Defense that we're going to do all the things that they say are necessary to stay within the guidelines of the Department of Defense, so that everybody's doing things on the up and up. And
I like that answer. Right? That's a good, very diplomatic answer.
That's as politically correct as I can get for you, Kevin.
That works for me. So I interrupted you. I know you were probably about to talk to us a little bit about some of the services that your office provides.
We do, or I was. So coming over, I was actually in Connie Johnson's role as the coordinator for Veterans Affairs for a while. And then when we established ourselves, and anybody that listens to this or is listening to this that used to use benefits way back in the day, right? There's there's kind of steps that we've gone through. There's people that remember when we used to borrow an office over at admissions when it was admissions, and we would just go over your benefits. Somebody would certify you, and that was like all the office provided at that time. And then we grew a little bit, and we fell into the Multicultural Center for years and years, and then we became our own standalone office, which is what veterans deserve now. The numbers are growing. We've always deserved everything that a university could provide. I couldn't be more proud of SDSU and the way we are still the only university in the Board of Regents that provides a director and a coordinator, and then we hire a bunch of work study that the VA allows us to make sure that the veterans are getting everything that they deserve. And that's and we kind of put those veterans in different categories. We throw out the word veteran, right? But we actually provide these educational benefits for veterans, and then we call them service members because they're guys that are in the National Guard, guys and gals that are in the National Guard, Army Reserve, or in the reserves. And then family members, because it's really spread out now, the way in which you can use benefits. You can be the veteran that just got done kicking down doors here a couple years ago, and now you want to go to college and use the benefits that you have deserved and have worked so hard for. And then there's National Guardsmen that are serving currently and doing drill and everything, and they have a set of benefits that still fall under the GI Bill umbrella. And then there are service members that utilize the transfer of educational benefits. So that's a person that has been in the military, but they have made themselves. It's a program that enables them to. The military wants them to do an additional 4 years, and in that they enable them to be able to pass their benefits on to dependents, let it be their wife or children, and then they can utilize it as well. And that number has really grown exponentially over the years to where that we have a lot of young adults that haven't served but are using the benefits in the same manner that our veterans are.
That's fascinating to me. I was not aware that was a program that existed.
Right.
So
a lot of people don't realize how many different types of people that we serve over there, but we do.
Oh, awesome. And so you kind of started to go down this road a little bit, but one of the questions within this series I like to focus on is, and we'll just use the broad term of veteran. I'm a veteran and I'm coming to South Dakota State University for the first time. How does your office help connect those students to the university, to the community when they arrive here at SDSU?
It's a great question, Kevin, and everybody has it. What happens is they have these programs. They're called TAPS, or they used to be. Let's keep in mind I've been out for about as long as I served and then some now. But they have the all right. So the transfer so your transition program, regardless of which service you served under, is about a 1 week thing you go to when you're about to get out of the military. And one of the things they cover is educational benefits. Now, where you are and how well they cover them is vast. But most of them get the gist of it. They realize that they have their GI Bill benefits that they can utilize. And they basically tell them what you need to do is get on the website, which is the vets.gov website, and you can apply for your benefits. And what they do is they get a piece of paper that's called a COE, a Certificate of Eligibility. They bring that to us, and then we know what to do. We know what we're looking for. Some of them, it's kind of surprising, but some of them don't know anything until they go through admissions, and then they just happen to mention they're a veteran. And then luckily, our university works so well together. We have a lot of different committees, and everybody knows, get a hold of the Veterans Affairs Office. If they mention veteran anything, they usually have some type of benefit. So they send them our way. Opportunity for All Center is a great place to start and to know, because everybody knows everybody's name like a small community, and they send them over to talk to us, and then we know what to do from there.
Sure. So the next question I have is, when you say you know what to do from there, what do you do from there?
Well, Connie and myself, and then 5 work study that we have a system that we go through when they come in, either depending depending on where they're at in their journey, whether some of them come in and they haven't even applied for benefits yet. Sure. So this is a 4 to 6 week period. So with any luck, we talk to them when they're coming through new student orientation or the transition period. And we get that, this is way before school starts in the fall, and they're able to apply for it. And then they'll have that piece of paper that's so vital to them getting benefits. And they bring that into us. And then we work through a website, and we build a file on them. We go into a website, we figure out through Banner, we figure out how many credits they're taking and what it means to them, their benefits. We brief them on what they have coming to them, because the standardized GI Bill is very lucrative. So they get tuition, fees paid for them. They get $1,000 annually for books. They pay it per credit. And once they start going to school and they've done everything through our website, through the VA website, money starts coming in. Okay. The neat thing about it is there with the standard Chapter 33, we call them, which is a regular veteran that's coming to school or a dependent that's using mom or dad's benefits. They can come through, we certify them, and then they're put on a deferment roster so that their tuition and fees it's not necessary for them to pay them when everybody else does, because once we turn their money in or their dollar amount into the VA, like all great things, it takes time. So let's say the fall semester, we turn all that stuff in within this month, within about September, late September, after the ad drop date, and then the VA starts sending us money for the veterans. We have a great relationship with the cashier's office. Barb does a fantastic job. We divvy it up and figure out what money goes to which veteran, and then their bill's paid.
That's awesome. So we have them here. They're students. They're getting the finances are being taken care of. So within this well-being conversation, one of the things we're always curious to talk about, because I think this can be a great resource for students who are out there and listening, is once they're here and they're going to class and they're doing the day-to-day, what are some of the common frustrations that our veteran students might face as members of the SDSU community, and how does your office support them in navigating those conversations?
That's another good question. Again, we're vast, right? And the way in which, if you talk to one veteran, you'll figure a whole bunch of stuff out. And then you might talk to 5 other veterans and you'll realize that, wow, they're not all the same. This is not a cookie cutter deal. Sure. Some of it is, some of it is not. So it just depends, right? When we do onboarding, let's say for new faculty that are coming on, we often do our portion of it, the Veterans Affairs Office, and basically we tell them how to deal with veterans, especially, and now we're changing over again. We were dealing with a lot of veterans that came back from, as I always call it, kicking down doors and doing things overseas, but they're transitioning into a whole different animal, as we call it. So they're sitting in a classroom. If you have a traditional veteran, here's let's say 24-year-old veteran that has had some real world issues that he or she was dealing with. And now you're in a traditional classroom where maybe an 18-year-old hasn't dealt with that kind of stuff. So those are some of the things that I'll tell. Life experience. Right. I'll tell a lot of our veterans, you're about to embark on something that the learning might not even be your biggest challenge. Your biggest challenge might be sitting in a classroom and 18-year-olds are asking 18-year-old questions. Right. And you're at a 24 or 20 whatever number.
The age might be 24, but you might be much older.
Yeah.
Based on
and so it can be a little challenging for that state of mind or working through that. A lot of them do a really great job. Most of them do. Others need a little bit of help to get through that.
Well, and I think that help question is kind of where we're going next within this conversation, because I think as the well-being team focuses on providing supports for all students here at SDSU, I think maybe your answer might be similar. It might be different as well based on other services that are out there. But we're always curious, based on the mental, physical, and emotional well-being of our students, what types of supports can your office provide to those students, whether that's internally. I know oftentimes we talk about the counseling center here at SDSU, but I'd assume with the the VA and other services that you might be connected to, maybe your answer is going to be a little different. So how do you support the students on the physical, mental, emotional well-being scope?
Yeah, and that's a tough one, and experience really helps. Continuity helps. Me and Connie have been working together for 8 years, a little over 8 years now, and I've been in the office, over 10. So with that comes a little bit of experience in the area of this is our veteran community, but how can we help them the best, right? When somebody walks in, and you know what, Kevin, it doesn't take long for me to know when I'm when I'm in over my pay grade, right? I need to know, Connie needs to know when our session has moved to how are you doing? How can we help you? How can we facilitate? What resources do you need to somebody that maybe actually needs more help than what we can provide? And that's where it comes in, knowing our counselors here at SDSU, and then knowing what they're authorized to use throughout the VA system. Sure. And may not know. Not everybody just comes in understanding that everybody's going to help them and what direction do I go in. Some of them do, but a lot of them, you're opening their eyes to different ththings like OneSource, some online stuff that they can utilize, some one-on-one. How do they get appointments at the VA and be able to see how many of them realize that they have 5 years of time at the VA, whether they know where to go to, what department, how do I get an advocate to help me through to navigate. And that's where me and Connie come in, and we're able to pass them on to some people that know what's going on, and then follow up is paramount. Making sure that our veterans are doing well, have visited with the right people, and then even making sure we keep confidentiality at the top, right? We still talk to people and just make sure veteran A is doing okay, and that we've reached out and have done some follow up with them. All of that is really important.
Well, I think it speaks to the power of relationships, like getting to know these students, getting to know the people within our community, and knowing you. I think the relationship building piece is a real strength that you bring to the table, and I could see that being something that both you and Connie can rely on to really support the students that come and engage with your office.
It is those relationships, and that's why I love the size of SDSU. We hire a lot of people that grow throughout the system. I mean, Toby Euchre is my supervisor now, and we're talking about, he's the dean of students, and we're talking about a guy that I've watched walking across campus and finishing up his master's, and and hopefully that's not stepping on any toes or anything, but it's the fact that I came over from ROTC, from serving, actually being on active duty, and building those relationships. Luckily, that's been, this is none of my doing. This is what mom and dad gave me for tools, right? And you utilize those, and thank goodness they come in really handy in the job that I'm in right now. And again, the continuity of us working together for so long, seeing people come and go, and a lot of them staying and being loyal to SDSU and getting great jobs, and now working in areas that I've known them for so long that I can give so-and-so a call or shoot them a text and say, hey, I got a veteran that is in need of some help.
Well, it's interesting, funny, interesting. I don't know that as you say that, as you were doing your introduction, you were like, well, in 2003, I was doing ROTC. I'm thinking back to my personal calendar of like, oh, we probably overlapped back then as well here at SDSU. So the other group we want to talk to, I know we're primarily kind of talking about to students and about the services you provide, but how about the SDSU community as a whole? What are some ways that faculty, staff, even those maybe not employed at the university, but that are just a part of this community, what are some ways that they could support our veteran students and the work that you do?
It's funny that I just came from a military affairs committee. I'm the chair for our military affairs committee that works through the chamber, Brookings Chamber. And so we are an organization that gets everybody together, right? The American Legion, the VFW, the DAV, all of these organizations, us. And so part of our job, mine and Connie's, is to know what the pulse of the community is doing as well. So that when we have veterans that need a little bit of help that maybe they can't get at SDSU, our outreach doesn't stop at the end of campus. Our outreach goes through Brookings, Connie is a Purple Heart recipient, so she is on committees with the Purple Heart. She's on the South Dakota Veterans Council. She's the chair for it right now. So these are outreaches and helping veterans, not just here or just the school stuff. It's providing programming. It's providing resources. We recently last year started something that I've been dreaming about for a little while, and we finally got it going. It's a military emergency relief fund. So it's a dollar amount that we can kind of help people out that come in and need a little bit of financial help as well. So that's just a slice of it. Naturally, we're not an office that's just passing out money all the time, or we'd have a lot more friends than what I do right now. But it's one of the things that we're able to do. Some of the things with our school veterans that are going to school, our service members in the National Guard, we keep really good relationships with our recruiters in town, whether they be for the National Guard, our active duty guys that come around. We're able to help them and connect people in different ways as well.
I love that. You kind of started to talk a little bit about this, but we are nearing the end of our time together. But I wanted to give you a chance to spotlight any programming or events that you might have coming up that you just want to make the community aware of. And so I'll just throw that ball your direction and let you run with it.
Along with we're almost done. We do one of our biggest things that we make sure that we maintain, obviously providing our background in making sure that we process educational benefits. That's job one, right? If we were to do nothing else, it's support veterans and make sure that they're getting their money, because when they're not happy when they're not getting their money. But yeah, exactly. They could care less if we did programming. If they're not getting their money, that's an issue. So after we make sure that all that is done, on the back burner, that sometimes goes to the front burner, we have a lot of different programming that we do. In the fall, we do a Warrior Wellness Week, Warrior Week, where we provide some different programming. We try to focus a little bit on our veterans that we have lost in the past, especially South Dakota veterans. And then we move into things that we do, like the Veterans Retreat. We have an annual Veterans Retreat that we work really hard in the summer. We have a golf tournament, so we make all the money, so it doesn't cost the veteran a penny. All they got to do, and we do a lot of fundraising. We have worked with the Game Fish and Park. We have snowmobiles that they're able to ride out there at the Veterans Retreat. Yeah, we go out to Deadwood. We've got an Airbnb that we pay for. We've been going to the same one. It's really nice. So we take about 24 veterans out there, and we're able to use some ecotherapy. We take some people out there with us so they can do some different exercises. Well, half of them are snowmobiling. The other half are doing some other things. We eat some lunch, and then we send the other half out there. And then the next day we do some skiing or some snowboarding, depending on what you like to do, up at Terry Peak.
What does Russ Chavez like to do?
Russ Chavez likes to keep his joints in right where they're at. Because when you start adding a lot of false parts with genuine parts, it's time to stop skiing and stop snowboarding. So Russ makes sure that you get up on the hill. Yeah. I make sure that we can get you to the emergency room if you need to be. Yeah, so I don't mess around with that stuff anymore. But we started coupling together. One of the biggest things that we did here a few years ago, we were really having not a great run in the cadet community on death by suicide. And it's a touchy subject, but it's near and dear to my heart. And any veteran and any civilian that cares at all about veterans, yes, it's important. It's an important conversation, and I think it's okay to bring up and talk about. So we had 3 suicides, and when we had the third one, I just sat in my office wondering, we've got to be able to do something more than go to funerals. And so I started talking to a couple of different people on campus, making sure that the wellness center, Tammy and her group was involved. And what we do is I started talking to the cadre over at the ROTC, Departments, Air Force and Army. And we saw a little blind spot there that we needed to start concentrating on. And the way we do that is now we do check-ins. So we get the counselors to volunteer, and we utilize one of the time slots that the ROTCs have, and we come over there and we do some check-ins, some one-on-one check-ins, and we make sure that they're doing okay. We make sure they understand what resources they have. We make sure they understand that none of these, going to see somebody isn't a weakness, but it's a way to build in that warrior mentality to make yourself a better person and be able to handle things. So that has changed the game a lot. So we have this committee. We meet about once a month to make sure that we got all our ducks in a row. And then we have these sessions once in each semester, check in with everybody. They get to know us. They get to know the counselors. They're not afraid to go in. Yeah, the relationships once again. And again, keeping everything confidential. They're able to walk over there and they know a face that talked to them earlier that semester. Can we give you numbers or anything? No. But the counseling center can, and they'll tell us we've seen an influx of cadets coming in, and that's all they need to tell us, and that the health and well-being of our cadet community is doing a lot better.
And that's the impact right there, right? Yeah. I really appreciate you sharing that. And thank you for this conversation. Thank you for your service, both to our military and to our country, but to our students here at SDSU and the work that you do. I think it's incredibly powerful. And I really enjoyed the chance to have this conversation with you today. And so I want to thank all of you for tuning in to our State of Wellbeing podcast, focusing on our Student Success Network, and joining us as we talked with Russ Chavez, our Director of Veterans Affairs and our Resource Center here at South Dakota State University. And so thank you once again for tuning in to the State of Wellbeing podcast here at South Dakota State University.
Thank you for listening to this episode of State of Wellbeing, a podcast from South Dakota State University. This podcast is brought to you by the Mental Wellbeing Team and SD State Health.